Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Wednesday, August the 30th, 2023. Closing to the end of the month and with it kind of the summer as well. Well, the gospel reading that I want to share with you today is from the 8th chapter of John, verses 2 through 11. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and began to teach them. And the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery. And making her stand before all of them, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say?" And they said this to test him, so that they might have some charge to bring against him. And Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And when they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And once again he bent down and wrote on the ground. And when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the elders, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. And Jesus straightened up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And she said, "No one, sir." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on, do not sin again." It was during her first year in college, right after the first semester grades had been posted, when we got the phone call from our oldest daughter, Kristen. She was obviously distraught and almost inconsolable. After graduating 10th in her high school class and winning a presidential scholarship from Susquehanna University, the highest academic scholarship offered by the school, she had just gotten a C in Calculus 2. Like many firstborns, I'm one myself, so I should know, Kristen sets unusually high standards for herself. And like me, too much like me, I'm sad to say, she strives to excel in those areas that mean the most to her, and what's more, she expects nothing less than perfection. So for her, a C just didn't cut it. In fact, she was devastated by it. Now, while we obviously wanted her to do well in college, we certainly shared her disappointment. We also tried to tell her that it wasn't the end of the world. Besides, we reminded her she had done extremely well in all of her other classes, especially those in her major. "But you don't understand," she insisted through her tears. "I'll never recover from that C. I'll never get my grade point average back up, and when I graduate, no one will want to hire me." "Whoa, just 1 second," her mother and I interjected. Where did you ever hear such nonsense?" And then it came tumbling out. From the time she had been in middle school, principals and teachers had been drumming into her head and those of her classmates that excellence was demanded, and one false step, one small mistake, one simple slip-up, and you could kiss it all goodbye. Now, I'm sure that they never said any such thing, but that's apparently what Kristen had heard, and so she was utterly convinced that at the age of 18, with a C in Calculus 2, her future was completely ruined and her life was now over. Well, Janet and I just smiled to ourselves and tried as gently as possible to tell our daughter that this just wasn't so. And then we each took turns reminding her of some of our own academic missteps. "Kristen," I said, "I once even got a D in college." "You did?" she replied incredulously. "You bet," I said. "And you want to know what the subject it was?" "Which one?" she inquired. "Comparative religion," I told her. "So it's not the end of the world," I reminded her. "Not even close." And that finally seemed to comfort her. Well, Kristen then went on, of course, to do quite well in college. During the summer after her junior year, she did an internship with J.P. Morgan, where her hourly rate was nearly what I was making after 20 years in the ministry, and 2 graduate degrees on top of my bachelor's. And she hadn't even graduated from college yet, plus she got a $1,500 signing bonus that summer as well. Heck, I never had a signing bonus in my entire career. And she did well enough on that internship that J.P. Morgan offered her a job at the end of the summer for the next year after she had graduated. And she graduated. She went on to graduate cum laude and immediately went to work for J.P. Morgan, once again receiving a signing bonus. If that's what C's in college will get you, I would have tried harder to get lower grades myself. But even though things worked out quite well for Kristen in the end, sometimes in other situations, people do find it extremely difficult to escape their past, especially their mistakes. Our reading today is a case in point. The woman caught in adultery was, of course, guilty of a lot more than just getting a C in calculus. But the result was exactly what Kristen had feared the most. This woman's life was completely ruined and probably over, at least according to Old Testament law. We don't know very much about the woman in our lesson. We don't know anything about the circumstances of her unfaithfulness either, such as whether there were mitigating circumstances or not. All we really know is that she's made a mistake, a terrible mistake, and now it's been discovered. And moreover, there are those who want to see her punished to the fullest extent of the law, which, as we heard, was death by stoning. In other words, it literally meant that her life was now over, just because of one mistake, one slip-up. Jesus seems much less eager than the scribes and Pharisees to see her pay for that mistake, however. He knows full well what the law calls for, but he adds a condition for those who are so anxious to enforce it. In a completely unexpected and stunning move, Jesus turns the tables on those who had asked for this when he says, "Let anyone among you who's without sin be the first to throw a stone." Of course, when they heard this, we're told they went away one by one until Jesus was left alone with the woman. Jesus, you see, had not only known the law, he had also known that none of these men were without sin themselves, perhaps even greater sins. And then he asked the woman where her accusers were, and if anyone still condemned her, and she said, "No one, sir." And so Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you." But of course, that's not the end of the story, is it? For Jesus has one more but all-important thing to say to her. "Go your way," he said, "but from now on, do not sin again." Forgiveness had carried the day. But more than that, forgiveness had made it possible for this woman to escape her past and to start her life all over again with a clean slate. The sins and mistakes of the past had no more power over her. Jesus had set her free. The past could no longer control her present or even her future. Well, our theme today and for the next couple of days is, again, abundant life, but it's about the present, not the past or the future. And we'll continue the conversation again tomorrow. Hope you can join us. Until then, take care. Bye.